remember we discussed at length about helping hiring managers with their interviews. We're talking about guys who don't know how to conduct an interview. So you send in your candidate and they don't appreciate the candidate because they don't do a good interview. Mike Rasmussen and everybody on the show that day said, no, we can't coach these guys. Mike Rasmussen says we help hiring managers improve their interviews, make objective hiring decisions, and manage hires for long-term retention. Okay, so Mike Rasmussen, have you ever helped a hiring manager know what to ask or how to conduct an interview?
Yeah, I mean, here's what happens. And I think it goes back to your intake meeting. When you're in your intake meeting and you're talking to your manager, I think, many times the opportunity is going to come up where you can consult with them. They'll ask you, hey, what questions do you ask? And that's where the door opens and you can.
Hold on, you ask them or they come and say, hey, recruiter.
They ask me. They ask me.
Why? They don't ask Rich. They don't ask me. Okay.
I've had it happen. They ask me.
How often?
It happens every now and then. I mean, it's not all the time.
Every now and then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Cat comes
I'm not
out of the
saying
bag on LinkedIn. It sounds like you're helping everybody. Okay, if that's not true, go ahead.
Well, seriously, I think we need to, sometimes managers are going to open that door and you need to be ready with some good questions for them. And you just say, hey, I've tried this before. This is a question I've asked and it's worked. And this gets the candidate talking more. So, the big key is you want to help your manager understand that the more open-ended questions they ask, the more information they're going to get. And that's generally how I guide them.
That's pretty, it's pretty
open-ended
loose.
Questions. It is loose because it has to be loose for the candidate to give you information. And the more open-ended questions you've got, the better. And most hiring managers like to understand how to do that. So if they're asking how to ask an open-ended question, you give them a couple of examples of
if they're asking,
questions.
that's one thing, but very
right, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Asking you, yeah.
Well, that was the secret, okay?
Yeah.
He doesn't go in and say, look, he doesn't go in like maybe we should and say, look, you dummy, I know you're not going to know how to ask. I busted my ass getting these candidates. I don't want you screwing it up. I'm going to tell you how to conduct an interview, just in case you don't know.
Well,
you're busy being an engineer or whatever it is you do.
I think it's how you ask them too. Like if you ask your hiring manager and say, what typical questions do you ask your candidates when you're in an interview? They're going to tell you. And then
Tom says they won't tell you. They're afraid.
I'm serious though. If you ask them what they're asking.
Yeah, most are not. Most will not. Some will.
Most won't. But when you do ask a question of them and say, what are you asking your candidates? It does open the dialogue.